the first thing is, I think when you're young and starting off in the industry, the ability to travel and see the country and the world is pretty phenomenal. I've got to work in some pretty cool places. The ability to mix up field work with office work. Look, if it's 11 degrees outside and it's pouring with rain, an office looks pretty good, doesn't it? But if it's 25 degrees and the blue skies, then, I think a lot of people want to be outside enjoying it.
Yeah, whenever we run a survey course, it's very weather dependent how many attendees we have coming along.
Oh, for sure.
Or if it's 40 degrees, amazingly, all of a sudden that training looks pretty, looks like a good option.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and Adelaide certainly we get some weeks of 40-degree weather. So
So on the flip side, what do you see as the biggest challenges for a surveyor?
Certainly now is the data management, and look, that's probably where us implementing 12D Synergy has really helped. But it's just how much data, both design data that's coming down from design consultants for the project, but also the data that we're capturing as conformance, as build, existing service pickup, and how that's going back up and distributed through the team. That is the amount of data that's being captured, the complexity of the data that we are capturing, and how quickly people want that data are all stuff we're facing, challenges we're facing. Yeah.
So the data volume, the complexity is increasing, and then the time frames
reducing. It's crazy, isn't it? It's like a perfect storm.
Yeah, and that's probably going to continue into the future too, right?
I think so. I think so. It's not slowing down. Ideally, it's a bit of a dream. We work on a project that everyone is using the same CDE, common data environment. It doesn't matter whether you're the engineering team, you're the survey team, you're the design consultants that are filtering information down. You all work on one platform and sharing data collaboratively. That would be amazing, but it just doesn't happen. Not in our world yet. Maybe one day.
Yeah, it sounds good.
One day.
Everyone just get into Synergy.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, I guess you have been using 12D Synergy for quite a while now.
Yeah.
What have you seen as the biggest benefits of that rollout?
Just streamlining exactly what we're talking about. So reducing the complexity of the data with how we manage it. Specifically what I'm talking about there is just project template structure, setup, so everything is uniform. And with that uniform data, it just gives the surveyor confidence. They know where the data is going to be, they know where it's going to live, they know where to put it if they pick something up. The naming conventions are locked, so it's always the same. So they know what they're in for. And look, I think back to some early projects that I worked on, and I was lucky enough to work with 12D straight out of university. But my early projects were one 12D project with every piece of data on that job, whether it be design, whether it be control, whether it be what I was picking up, conformance, and the project just got out of control. And I think that was the workflow for a lot of people, and I think there's probably still people in the industry that sort of have a similar workflow. But what improves it? In our world, I don't think that workflow can actually work. I think it would sink a company if they were trying to do things that way on the scale of projects that we work on now. So they're really, for us, there's really no other way. We need that structure, the procedures, and just especially with a team of 140 people. Everyone needs consistency. Consistency and collaboration. I think they're two pretty key things about business.
Yeah. And do you think it's really beneficial for those large mega projects you're talking about, or the smaller, or where's it sort of?
Yeah, that's interesting actually. I think early on in the piece, the push for ESO to go to Synergy was probably to deal with the issues that we're having on our big projects. That was certainly our starting point. Where we've come to now, after lots of years of integration and development, is seeing the benefits on our small jobs. I think every company, every survey company probably still has smaller scale projects as well on the go. But the impact, I mean, we're struggling with resources at the moment. I think the whole industry is. There's a shortage of surveyors across Australia. Nobody is immune to it. And so it's just so critical that the surveyors that are working on the projects are working efficiently. And on small projects, the data might not be as big or as complex, but we've got multiple surveyors going in and out of those projects on any given day. And some of those surveyors might not have ever worked on that project before. So if they can go into that project on day one and know exactly where to find the information, because the structure and the systems are all consistent, I think that's brilliant. I think you're just setting up people for success. Yeah.
Yeah, and those smaller projects too have smaller margins to work with. So if you can just bang them out a lot more efficiently, like that's a big benefit as well.
100%. Yeah. And I think the smaller projects are the ones that might trip, surveyors up, because they don't see the complexities, in the data. The complexities aren't there, but that doesn't mean they don't come with challenges, and that you need to be efficient with your data and good with your data management in terms of storing everything that you've done, consistent with your conformance reporting, as-built reporting. So I think there's still challenges even with the smaller projects. Yeah.
So we talked a bit about the resourcing challenges. So what's ESO doing to try and find more staff here to get all this work done?
It's a good question. Our big focus at the moment is working with universities and TAFEs across Australia, really getting people that are studying in early to our business and supporting them through their studies and giving them some real world experience and exposure and getting that development into them early. I think that's a really big focus of our business.
And for South Australia at the moment, what are the education pathways for surveyors?
We're actually going through a really challenging time. Historically, we've always had a university course, which was offering a bachelor degree, and then which was University of South Australia, and then the TAFE pathway offering the diploma. And that was producing sort of a good, well-rounded number of surveyors, graduate surveyors for the market, for the South Australian market.
Do you know how many were graduating each year?
Somewhere in the order of about 45 or 50, sort of at the peak. And unfortunately, University of South Australia went through a bit of a decline in student numbers, and that led to them dropping the survey degree. So that was a few years ago now, and we've been left in a bit of no man's land for tertiary pathways. We're really lucky that Flinders Uni has picked up the surveying degree in South Australia, which is awesome news. But there's probably just going to be I think it's about a 4 or 5 year skills gap, until we see the next round of graduates, or the first round of graduates out of Flinders Uni, which is in about 2.5 years' time. I think they're just starting second year now.
Okay, so we could be talking about 100 or more surveyors that aren't in the industry just when Adelaide needs surveyors more than ever.
Absolutely.
It's a tragedy.
Yeah, I think TAFE is doing a good job to try and pick up the slack, but they have limited positions as well. So they're doing what they can, but very much looking forward to the Flinders University graduates coming on board. Yeah,
seems like a real challenge for not just South Australia, but all of Australia, of getting people into surveying, construction. It just doesn't seem to be getting enough graduates at a time where the baby boomers are all retiring. Yeah. So you've got all these people, more work than ever before, and we're probably losing people, not gaining.
Absolutely.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and skilled migrant workers are another option, surveyors in other countries. But there's a huge, I think the scale and the complexity of the Australian infrastructure projects is, it's on another level to a lot of other countries out there. And what we see is a big gap. And so it takes a long time to close that gap, both with software, hardware, and just constructability and how we build things in Australia.
And yeah, the market's totally different. Like we've done a lot of work overseas, and other than probably Australia and New Zealand and say Scandinavia, the level and the quality of surveying is beyond everywhere else.
Absolutely.
We've done a lot of work in the UK and the US, and obviously the third world, and it's archaic in a lot of ways, I can say nicely. And to sort of come to Australia where everything's high end, it's all robotic instruments, the software we're using is more advanced, the projects are huge, they're more complicated than what they're used to. It would be quite the learning curve for anyone overseas coming here.
I mean, even like a robotic total station in the Australian market is just a given. I think it's an expectation of every surveyor that works here uses a robotic total station. That is certainly not a given in through a lot of countries. So, I think we're very lucky to be surveyors in Australia. I mean, I always like to look at the surveying industry and I just think about the tech that we get to use, and then compare it to other industries out there. I mean, we are so lucky with the tech that gets put in front of our noses or it's at our fingertips. And all surveying companies need to do is reach out, find applications for it and grab it, and they can start using it. There's not many industries that really have the tech advancements that surveying's seen in the last 20 years.
Yeah, there's always reports coming out that the construction industry has a real problem with productivity growth and, it's not moving fast enough. But particularly with surveying, you think in the last 15, 20 years, it's insane how much, technology and how much has changed. A lot of like one-man bands, drones and scanners and UAV, how do you mean it's not moving?
For sure. Look, one of the pieces of tech we use is AR, augmented reality. And so we can load existing services models, we can load design models, and we can walk out, or an engineer can walk out on site and see it in real time. We overlay it in the real world. And that's pretty cool. So automatically you can look at, okay, what's going to clash with existing infrastructure, or where existing services are without having to have a surveyor on site marking that. And I think trying to eke out those efficiencies in construction, I guess surveyors sort of really helping construction projects find these efficiencies through our tech. It probably lends more to the surveyor the importance of the surveyor really being responsible for the data, as opposed to maybe delivering some of the more mundane tasks on site. Don't get me wrong, I think surveyors are going to be in the field. We'll look back at this interview and surveyors will be still in the field 20 years from now, still setting out stuff, still conforming, making sure that things are built correctly and with intolerance. But there's certainly a lot of mundane tasks that I could talk to my team and I think they'd be happy to get off their shoulders and just be responsible, for the data that's going into them.
So I guess we're talking about the recruitment side. I guess the one good thing about Adelaide going through a bit of a boom period is that Melbourne and Sydney seem a lot quieter now. So I imagine a lot of people that flew over there in the boom times might be coming back to Adelaide.
Yeah, we'll happily take them.
Okay, so anyone wants to send their CV through? Is there Chris Stargate at ESO?
No. Look, I mean, I think the infrastructure industry across the whole of Australia is still in a pretty solid position. So I don't think we can just account for that, but certainly we're going to have to really look at how we deliver these projects across the next 10 years.